that wasn't how you qualified was with a FICO score.
That's
and
correct.
Nobody, at least I shouldn't say anybody, but I have not found anybody that has been able to honestly tell me what and where and how a FICO score really works. I have people tell me about algorithms and the possibilities and the probabilities and all that stuff. I have had nobody actually be able to tell me why my FICO score will go up 20 points for this and down 50 points for that, and all I basically did was nothing during that time period.
I can tell you this as a career guy looking at the FICO system. If you do not use it, you will have the lowest rating possible. It is the only system I am aware of that you are punished for not using.
Right.
Which to me is insane. I think I should be able to walk into a car lot or to purchase a house, if I were in the market to purchase a house. I should be able to walk in and go, here you go. I don't borrow. There are no missed payments. The times I have used it, I have paid off immediately. Here's my proof. And they just look at the number and go, yeah, that number's not high enough for us. And what I've been trying to tell homeowners lately who've missed payments, because we both do advocacy work, if not, go listen to episodes with Elgin on the topic. I know for a fact, because I'm a leaser. I'm a renter, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But I'm now seeing where they're looking at your FICO number and not have you missed a payment, have you owed money to people, not any of the normal characteristics that would have scared previously. They're looking at they want a 750 before you can live in this building. It's almost like a steering situation. They're looking for a very specific person who is affluent, who uses their credit, who is a part of society. Like they're using the FICO system now on the rental side to really do screening.
Oh yeah, I have so much of my own. Just I could go on a soapbox about that and FICO scores and what they're required for, and not just our real estate industry. I mean, we were looking to switch our cable. We were looking to switch our cable, and I currently, I guess I shouldn't put their names out, but we were going from our current situation to a different provider. This different provider will not approve me unless I allow them to either A, run my FICO score, and of course, they tell me if I qualify or not, but they do not give me the criteria of what the FICO score is that they accept, or I need to put my payment on an automatic deposit.
Correct.
From them. I'm like, you lost your mind.
Yep.
I'm not gonna. I'll find somebody else. I'm not gonna have you run my credit for cable. I mean, I'm 50 plus years old. I can afford cable, and I'm also not going to have you put me on automatic payment when I figure out or decide that your service sucks, and then I have to go and fight to get you off of my debit or credit card.
Yep.
So I mean, I know that's a whole different tangent, but the way that everything is based upon your FICO scores. I mean, just the fact that when you go in to purchase a home and you don't fall into a certain category with the FICO, you're done.
Yep.
You're done. They don't care about anything else.
Yep.
You're done. You know what, like you just said, man. I can walk in there and I can have no debt or very little debt, or that scenario where you may use a 52% back end ratio. I might have a 30% ratio, and with plenty of money in the bank and a 401k and blah blah blah. You want a 750 FICO score, mine is a 740, and you tell me you can't get me in, or you can't put me in at a good rate? That's crazy.
Because you're not tier one. And the answer is because you're not tier one. And right. It is, I don't want to get into the weird positioning. If you're a buyer, yeah, that's how the system works. And is it right or wrong? I don't know. I mean, I could get into the conspiracy of pigeonholing people because we really just want you to work, have a house, be in debt, and be a part of the system. That is my general perception. Why? I mean, people don't get this about banking or life or human beings in the United States. You are the commodity of the United States. You consume goods and services and loans. Therefore, the U.S. government can borrow against you. That's why you have a Social Security number. That Social Security number is tracked by a FICO score, and that's what creates a credit rating. That credit rating means that the government can borrow money against you, and the monopoly money goes on and on and on and all the way up. And I don't think people need to care or know that, but that's why it is the way it is. And that's why a bank only carries 20% real money. That's because real money doesn't really exist. And if we were to call debts due, there wouldn't be enough printed money to cover all the outstanding money. And it's a game that goes on and on and on. And I think that's what they want. They want you in your house, Elgin, being a realtor, making your payments, and being a good citizen. And the more companies you get in debt to, it's a perpetuated system. And people look at me and they frown upon, well, Lee, you're in real estate, you lease. I said, all right, number one, you tell me where I can live a block from the water for $2,500 in something that isn't a teardown.
Right.
Because
right.
I love it when the realtors come by. Well, at $2,500 a month, you could have this house that's 2 blocks back, and it's bigger than what you're currently in. Sure, it'll need a little bit of work, but you'll own it. What do I really own? I own a 10-year loan. I own a 20-year loan, or a 30-year loan, or a 40-year, or a 50-year. If I, use these hard money sources to get the numbers down and the prices up. And if I'm a buyer, I have to be objective. My number one goal, just as yours is, rule number one, I got to take care of the people on, in the real circle. That's the bottom line. It isn't about providing, shelter at the end of the day. I got to take care of the long term of my kids because that's reality. And I got to take care of my wife because that's the real long term. And I don't think people buy in that manner. They just think it's time to get a house and I got to have a house. And I think that what this real discussion comes down to is it's got to be realistic. It's got to be very realistic because all of these things are very real, and because of the internet and because of the mortgage meltdown and because we can actually look at history now because of the internet, you got to have a very realistic conversation because at some point money and monopoly money and all this stuff is going to stop being the way it is. I don't know if it's going to be in 1 year or 30 years or 100 years. But at some point, somebody's going to put their hands up and go, this is going to stop. Great. And if you own a house, does it make a difference? Or if you lease a house, does it make a difference? Does it change? What are the dynamics? And these are really things that I think about because if it were just me, I know this. And I'm sure you've had this thought in your mind, Elgin. I'm halfway through my life. I mean, half of my life is done, legitimately, easily. I can say that. But I've got a child, and she's got a future. And what is that future, and should I leave her property? Should I leave her something tangible? How much does that factor in when you buy? Did you factor all that in? Your kids, your wife, everything, leaving something?
It's funny that when I first started, I had it as part of my mindset, but I really did not know how to really do that. That, as you say, though, I'm at least at the halfway mark, man. If this were a basketball game, I'm hoping for overtime. But because right, my body feels like I'm in the third going into the fourth quarter. So. I also think one thing that you've said in speaking on your own personal situation, though, that people don't get it, you prioritized what's most important to you. So in your particular case, leasing or purchasing or whatever, the bottom line to you was, for a quality of life standpoint, you prefer to be by the beach. And if you're preferring to be by the water and be by the beach, then and renting and or leasing is the best option for you. That's better than you maybe, if your qualifications put you to where you have to say buying like Palmdale and you're in the middle of the desert, but your heart and everything else you want to do that's going to keep the rest of your life in balance is by the beach. Then that's what you do. You're by the beach. But see, I know there's going to be people that take what you said and that is, oh wow, big time trainer Lee Honish, and he's renting. But big time trainer Lee Honish said he may be renting or leasing this particular property, but that he's living in. But I didn't hear Lee say he doesn't or hasn't or will not invest in real estate.
Not at all. And if they heard it correctly, my ex-wife and my daughter and their stepfather green-lighted that project all the way, because I know that the amount of money I give them was factored into all the thinking, and they came to me because of what I know. I said, I can see nothing wrong with it. I can see nothing wrong with this purchase. And it gives my ex-wife, who's a little crazy, which is why we're not together, God bless her. She raised a great child. It gives her security, and I get that. There are people who see the security in owning. They don't have the perspective that you have or that I have. And I'll even give one further example. Our friend Justin Drulin, who is probably the most reputable appraiser in Southern California. He does the appraisals for the banks. He has leased perpetually. And he keeps joking. He goes, buddy, I'm aware of he does his little South African body. I'm aware of the trends. And he goes, there were points when I should have bought. He goes, but I just know it's going to go up and it's going to come down. And he goes, it's a game of musical chairs to me. He says, I know one thing. When I lease, I get my money back. I know where my money's going, and I make a phone call and they fix it. I said, that's pretty solid. I don't have an argument to that. I see the other side. I see the other side of the coin, which is my ex-wife going, I need this feeling of security that I own it, that when I put paint on the wall, I'm doing it for me. I see that too. I'm not naive. Big time Lee Honish just says this. I need about 300 or 400 square feet. I would prefer it to be by the water. And for $2,500, you're going to give me a work-live loft, a couple blocks off the water. I'm in. I'm a simple guy. It's just me. I don't need a lot. Does my daughter need more? Does she need a house with a backyard and a swim? Yes, she does. And therefore, you need a house. And what's the best way to do a house? I think you should purchase it if it gives you that security. But it's mitigation of risk. And for everybody listening, I will say this, and this is a great discussion point. I factored in what happens if Lee Honish is not injecting his monthly payment into that household. Can they handle it? And I certainly did the math. And I certainly factored that out. Because if I drop and die tomorrow, can they handle the lifestyle that they've created? Because certainly their lifestyle is predicated on the money that comes into me. No different than a job or anything else. So they, just like their lender, they looked at the money that I gave them as part of their qualifying factors. And the first thing that went through my mind was, here's who you call, here's how you do the short sale, here's how you get money out of the deal. You guys can go back to renting or getting an apartment. My daughter will never suffer the difference. She will never not have a place. There will never not be a place for her to be if I do not exist. And that's me being a very big adult on the topic, because I don't want to think that way. I want to be there for every second of my child's life. It's not realistic. And buying today, I think the reason I had this discussion, I always get melancholy when I come back from a trip thinking about my daughter, because I don't see the reason. It's about your family, and it's about building a place. And I was at my parents' house the other day, which they've had for 45 years. I want to say safely 45 years. I saw the concrete, the signatures in the concrete in the front from the 80s when they poured that slab. My mom made a joke the other day because I'm in between looking for a new place by the beach. She said, you could live in your old room. And I stood in it and went, wow, it's really small. it's really, it's not that I would ever move back home and actually do it as a guy who's 47 while I look for a new place.
Right.